Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. This is the Inside segment. I'm Harold Fisher. Tonight is National Night Out, an evening of police and community unity. We're talking with law enforcement officials and community leaders about how they are working together to keep our neighborhoods safe, strong, and free from crime and violence. It's more than just about cookouts and block parties. Tonight is about building trust and taking action. My guests are George Nader, Chief of the Prince George's County Police Department, Delton Turman, Chair of Community Service Area 23 Leadership Council in Prince George's County, also Charles Thomas, a local football coach and concerned community leader in Prince George's County. Thank you all so much for joining this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Sure thing. Let me start with you, Chief. First of all, congratulations on your appointment as Chief. You've only been Chief for a few weeks, but while you're in this new position, you are not new to the mission. You've been in the Prince George's County Police Department before. How do you feel about what should be the core mission of National Night Out from a law enforcement perspective?
Yeah, so first, let me thank you for having me on this, a show that's really a cornerstone in our community and with a cornerstone host. So thank you. And I start with saying I am absolutely honored and privileged to be here with you. So National Night Out is like you said, it's a night that we can come together with our community to celebrate our relationships and strengthen our partnerships and maybe get to know some of those members in our community that we don't get the opportunity to interact with on a daily basis, and then bring them into that relationship.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you participated in National Night Out before. How do you think this has evolved, and do you think that it has helped?
Oh, definitely. So they just get bigger and bigger. And I was telling somebody when I had Police District 3, this was 2010 to 2013. It was made up of many different communities. And such an interesting thing, I tried to unify it. And I said, well, let's do one big one at the district station rather than a whole bunch of little ones. That way more people can go and attend and interact. And the community was absolutely not. We want you all coming to our community. So the community takes pride in these events. The police department takes pride in these events. And it just solidifies, what's happening, and not only in Prince George's County, but across the country where law enforcement and community work hand in hand to uplift communities throughout the country.
How do you believe that building relationships in the communities in Prince George's County are helping with your bottom line when we're talking about preventing and fighting crime? Do those relationships really help?
So absolutely. It goes back to, I'm sure many people are familiar with Sir Robert Peel in the 1800s. He came out with 9 Peelian principles. The one that I like to bring forward a lot of times is that the police are the community and the community are the police. So I believe this. I believe that there's no police department that could be successful without strong partnerships in the community. And any police department that doesn't have or embrace the community is destined to have challenges. Mm-hmm. So when we have incidents that happen in the community, we need the community to come forward, cooperate with us, provide us with information so we can do our job. And all of us have the same goal. We really want to improve the quality of life in the communities that we serve. And the community wants the same thing. So we're all working towards the same thing. But if one knows what the other is doing and what the philosophies are of the organization and actually has input in how we move forward as an organization, that's when you start seeing real progress. And these partnerships are true relationships. So even, I left Prince George's County for 9 years, but in that 9 years, there were community members that I talked to every day. And these are people that I had served, but because we have relationships beyond law enforcement, because you grow to know one another, you grow to know people's family, and they grow to understand your family. So it's a real relationship. It's not, a cliche thing where we say, oh, we're forming partnerships. Well, no, we're creating relationships with our communities, and
Mm.
those are built. They start on the partnership and the trust, but then they morph into really a deep caring for one another, and that's what's so important for our officers to see, and that's what's so important for community members to get to know our police officers, not just the command staff, not just the folks that come out doing community policing, but each and every member of our organization. It's critical that the community knows the officer that's out there working the midnight shift. They
Mr.
feel
Turman,
comfortable talking to them.
Mr. Turman, first of all, for those who aren't familiar, what is a Community Service Area 23 Leadership Council, and what is your relationship or the Leadership Council's relationship with the Prince George's County Police Department?
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me, Harold.
Sure,
I really appreciate that. This Community Service Area 23 is a concept. It's a concept that was put into play several years ago by one of our prior chiefs, Chief Melvin High, the late Melvin High. He had a concept of community policing, and our area was CSA, Community Service Area 23. They took all the districts and they broke the districts down into different parts. And since we were in District 2, and we were the third part of District 2, that's how we got our 23.
I see.
This area covers Upper Marlboro, some parts of Lower Bowie, and Kettering, Largo, those particular areas.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
So how would you characterize the council's relationship with the police department? And is it better? Is it worse? How would you describe it?
I would think that our relationship with the police department is better. You need someone to kind of be the leader to help strengthen that partnership between the police and the community. And that's what we've been able to do with our monthly meetings that we have. We have the police involved in those meetings, and the community residents come together. They actually get a chance to meet our command staff at District 2, ask questions, that are really pertinent to them, that matter to them. And the command staff is actually at their particular, access. They do have access to the police that they may not have had before. Mm-hmm. So we sort of act as a bridge between the community and the police department.
What do you believe can be done better?
I think what we can do better is get more word out to our community about these meetings that we're having. Right now, when information comes out from the police department, we try to disseminate that information, but a lot of times people aren't on our email chains, so they don't really get that information. And what they can actually do is participate more in our meetings to get that information. We think that people, they're just unaware that these meetings are happening. So I think what we can do better is to get the word out more that these meetings are happening and people should actually join the meetings.
Mm-hmm. Before I go to Mr. Thomas, I did want to ask you, do you have a question for the chief while he's here?
No, I do not have a question for the chief. I think my comment to the chief would be everything that he mentioned is what we try to do. He mentioned one thing about having a better witness, when things happen. And that's one of the things that we can do with these National Night Out activities. We kind of go through the motions and make people aware that the police can't be everywhere, and they're going to need good witnesses, when they're following up on these crimes or these incidents that happen. So I think the chief is right on point when he's saying that we're actually building a relationship with these folks in order to better be a better witness.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Thomas, you were kind of a boots on the ground person, and I know you deal a lot with young people in your community activism. What do you think needs to come from the police department to deal with youth problems? So, Chief, one of the other things that has been of particular note, not just obviously in Prince George's County, but in the DMV, is the issue with young people. What is your plan to address some of the issues regarding young people in Prince George's County? I know there's the curfew that seems to be working fairly well at the National Harbor, but young people are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the things that we saw in the last year, working with Metro Transit Police, I have a regional view there, and then coming over to Prince George's County, it gives me the ability to look at things from a county perspective, but also, have an intricate knowledge about regional. So what has happened over the past year or so, give or take, is the juvenile pop-ups, which is bringing about mass numbers of juveniles to one or two locations. You have juveniles from all across the DMV from different communities, and sometimes that leads to mischief, sometimes it leads to criminal acts, sometimes it leads to kids getting hurt. So it's critical for us as law enforcement to do what we can to prevent these mass gatherings from happening, or ensure that they're organized, and it's a safe environment for the kids. So with the curfews, it has been working in the district. It's been working in Prince George's County. I think the key thing is, though, parental involvement. So I know as a parent that at 12 o'clock at night on a Friday, I know where my 14-year-old is. So these are some of the things that we need to work for, to engage and bring the whole community together to start to monitor what our kids are doing and where our children are, because the reality is some kids are getting hurt, some kids are getting in serious trouble, and if we can prevent that from happening, which you're seeing some of the actions that law enforcement are taking is geared towards preventing that from happening. So I think that now we're being pretty successful at that, but just finding kids things to do, making sure kids have activities, making sure they're involved in their communities, but then making sure that they're getting the guidance that they need. One of the things that I always embrace is the school resource officer. And the way I look at the school resource officer may be a bit different than what a lot of people look at it as. I don't look at it as somebody that's there to enforce school rules. I look at it as somebody that's there to provide a safe environment for children to come to school so they don't have to worry about their safety when they're trying to learn. I look at it as a person that can create true relationships with our youth, and maybe be a mentor, maybe provide them with pathways to success, getting involved in their life, showing that somebody cares about them, because some of our kids have it tough, but if they have that person that cares about them, they can do great things. And that's what I want our school resource officers to know, to show our youth that one, you can talk to the police, where people just like everybody else, but two, that your police officers really care about your well-being.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a rather personal question, Chief. And it's a question that everybody has been talking about, but everybody seems to be afraid to ask. And I'm not going to be afraid to ask. Are you black or white?
Hey, Mr. Fisher, I appreciate you going hard like that. So I'm actually Lebanese American. So Arab American would be, at the core of it.
So, and this is why I ask, and I'm so glad that you answered that question. As you know, Prince George's County is a very diverse county, but it's a majority Black county. And in our current social and political climate, issues about race are very, very critical to public safety and policing. What impact do you believe your ethnic background will have on your understanding of the community that you are in charge of related to public safety?
So beyond my ethnic background, right, I grew up in Prince George's County.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm from Prince George's County. What I love about Prince George's County is at the core of the county doesn't care, and our community doesn't care about what you are. We look at who you are, and that's how we form our relationship. So as you see, the county is extraordinarily diverse, as you mentioned. So me coming in with the ethnic background that I have, I think it gives me an understanding of what it's like to be looked at differently, because I have been looked at differently my entire life, because I was Arab American when people didn't know what Arab American was, and growing up in Prince George's County. However, the community of Prince George's County embraced me, and now I have the opportunity to embrace them back, at a grander scale. And really, I'm coming here to serve the community that I love, regardless of what you look like or where you come from. It's really at the core of who a person is that matters. So, I'm here to serve every citizen of Prince George's County.
Thank you for that. I need to take a really quick break, and hopefully we'll be able to get Mr. Thomas back. If not, we will continue on. But I wanted to remind our listeners that you can hear this in every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The original Quiet Storm with Raheem Devon is next on WHUR-FM. This conversation continues on Sirius XM channel 141 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We continue our conversation about public safety and crime on this National Night Out. My guests are George Nader, Chief of the Prince George's County Police Department, as well as Delton Turman, Chair of Community Service Area 23 Leadership Council in Prince George's County. I know that I'm going to have to let you go in just a bit, Chief, but I did have one or two more questions that I wanted to ask you. One of the things that we have seen a lot of, and everyone in the room is old enough to remember not only Rodney King, but George Floyd. What is your opinion, Chief, about social media and its impact on policing, particularly as it relates to the fact that everybody has a smartphone, and at any given moment during any police activity, that it can be videotaped?
Yeah, so all police departments speak of transparency and pride themselves on transparency, but true transparency is forced upon our profession when cell phones came about. And I think this is what shed the light on a lot of incidents. But when I look at social media, it's critical to police community relations that people understand the job that we're being asked to do. The one thing that I say is, and I'll throw this challenge up to anybody who would like to take it. I'll bring in 6 body cameras, and you pick the profession, and we'll put those body cameras on that person, 40 hours a week when they're at work. I don't care who you want to say, lawyer, judge, doctor, car salesman, but we'll put the body camera on them. And then what we'll do is at the end of the week, I'll turn that body camera over to the media, who can bring in experts from that profession and critique every aspect of what it is that they do. And then we'll see what profession prevails and what profession can sustain the scrutiny that police officers have to sustain. Not saying that officers don't make mistakes, because we know that officers do. And we've seen, you've quoted 2 cases where it went really bad, and those things should not have happened. So what we want to try to do our best is not paint us all in a broad brush, because that's what tends to happen. A lot of media, be it social or, TV, portrays us as that, when that's not what we are. If you ask 100 police officers that they condone that, 100 are going to say they didn't condone that. So that's kind of what I want everybody to know about law enforcement. We're out here to serve. We work very hard to serve our communities. Do officers make mistakes? Absolutely. It's the organization's obligation to weed out those members that shouldn't be here, hold accountable those that need to be held accountable, train the ones that need to be trained. But this is where working hand in hand with our communities, establish that. Because when the community knows it's not the core of their police department that's doing these things, or it's not our philosophy, we don't condone it, then they understand when these mistakes happen, and they trust that the organization and the chief is going to take the right action to mitigate that, whether it's ensure that the officer's prosecuted, whether it's a discipline training, whatever that may be. But if you don't have that community trust, that's where you start to have this disdain between community and police. And I think as a profession, we're still recovering from that, because what you've seen is the calls for defunding the police have shifted. So now, but law enforcement agencies are still having a hard time hiring, because we lost that generation of youth that piques that interest in law enforcement because they saw these negative things in policing. So, unlike like a lot of our partners in the DMV, we need officers. We need people to take these jobs. We need people to come and serve our communities. So we're doing hiring blitzes, trying to get people from within our community to come over and be police officers. But I do think that media has had an impact on law enforcement, but I do think that it's starting to shift, and we're starting to work better with the media now. I think that in the DMV, we always had that good relationship with the media, and we always had good relationships with the community since I was a police officer, and I started in 1993, specifically in Prince George's County. We flourished with community relations. People like what you said, Mr. Thurman, is Melvin High, who is an icon in our industry, and somebody that I served closely with, and I looked at as a mentor. And really, Chief High's legacy lives on in so many of us because we believe in what he believed in. We believe in the community service. And he taught us so much about what it means to serve. So I think with that, sir, I think that's kind of how I would approach that with the media. But, we work close with our media partners, and we understand how relevant it is to have good relationships too.
Final question, and I know I have to let you go. At the time that your predecessor, the former Chief Malik Aziz, left, there was homicides were down, and like many places around the country, a lot of the crimes were down. Obviously, nothing is perfect, and there is, the issue of deadly domestic violence related crimes. How will you be able to continue to bring those numbers down? What is your plan?
Yeah, so that downward trend is continuing. So the one area that you mentioned, domestic violence, is something that we as a community have to concentrate on, because I think that there's a lot of stress in our community right now for a variety of reasons. I think that our community has still not fully recovered from the effects of COVID and everything that happened then. And then with some things going on with jobs and economy and things of that nature, rise the stress level, which caused domestics to escalate. So educating our community on what domestic violence is and what that cycle of domestic violence is, but also getting the services out to those that need services, and counseling to those that need counseling to have successful lives absent of domestic violence, I think is critical. But our downward trends continue in every category of crime right now, except for domestic violence, which are in shootings and things of that nature. So it's a hard one because it's really education and programs and not so much enforcement for policing, because it happens in the home. So what we have to look at is any chance we get the opportunity to intercede in that, are we doing the best we can for those folks involved in it? So what we have to do is look at hard critiques on ourselves to make sure we're giving the referrals, make sure the programs that we're offering to people are readily available to them. So I think those are some of the things. We definitely need staffing. So the more officers I can get, we're down about 330. Like I said, we're doing a hiring blitz right now, trying to fill a class for January. So if we get our numbers up, then people can come be a part of what's about to happen in Prince George's County. Because under the county executive, Aisha Braveboy, her vision is a unified government. And I've seen that in the past. And when you have a unified government, good things happen for the community. And that's what I'm looking to do, make sure that the police department has a seat at that table to work with our partners in county government to provide the absolute best service we can for the residents of our county.
Prince George's County Police Chief George Nader, thank you so much, sir, for spending some time with us. Looking forward to talking to you again very soon. Good luck to you, sir.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all you do for our communities.
Thank you so much. We will be in touch. Mr. Thomas, we have you back. Unmute your microphone, Mr. Thomas, if you don't mind. But we now have Charles Thomas back, our community activist and football coach. Thank you so much for your patience with all of the gremlins that we often find with technology. But I did want to ask you, and unfortunately, we only had the chief for a certain amount of time. But your your thoughts are still important in this conversation in dealing with young people. What do you believe needs to really be done to address some of the problems that we're seeing with young people in the county? Obviously, there is the National Harbor curfew. The county executive has seen fit to keep that going. The previous county executive, Angela Also Brooks, saw the need to implement that. And while it is unfortunate that children or young people have to be removed from that entertainment venue because for whatever reason they just can't seem to keep it together, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, first of all, Mr. Fisher, thank you for having me on your program. You are indeed a pillar in this community, and just having that communication that you bring and all of the knowledge that you bring to us is a great thing for this community in the DMV area. And Mr. Truman, and congratulations to the police chief, the new appointed police chief. When we deal with youth, of course, it's communications. They are just as curious about us as we are about them. But there's also a situation now where there's a gap where they feel that we don't know what we're talking about. And of course, we have been where they've been. And so the first thing, again, is communications, opening up the door to let them know that, first of all, we're not afraid of them, but that the door is open. And then we have to learn about what they're going through. They're seeing things now that we didn't see when we were growing up. At least we didn't see it as much as they're seeing it. I may have had one person die in my school years, and they see maybe one or two people shot, murdered, disappeared, whatever, within a week or two. So we have to be real with them, and we have to let them know what's going on around them. They see through a lot of fakeness, and we just have to be real with them. That's the first thing, and communicate with them. And we also have to let them know that there are consequences when they step out of line. Everybody's not going to give them a fair shake in life, and certainly everybody's not going to give them a second chance. So we have to let them know in the beginning that there are certainly consequences, and we have to keep them in line to let them know what they do is very, very important, and it relates to what their future will be.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Turman, your thoughts about what Mr. Thomas just shared with us?
I think he hit on some good points there. I would also add about social media. The kids are exposed to social media now a lot more than they have been in the past. There's a lot of trends, like we say, on TikTok and things of that nature that the kids try to emulate where they wouldn't have had exposure to that before. The curfew, I would say, is probably a good thing. If the kids are off the street at a certain hour, it can only be a good thing, I would think. The way the kids are now, some of the things that they're getting into is not the way that our parents raised us. Their parents may be young as well and may have done some of the same things, but it's not good for them and neither for their future to act the way that they do. So I think the curfew is good. Keep the kids at home, talk to the parents, maybe some parenting skills or classes, may be called for. But the youth, they have to have programs as well. Something that's going to keep them busy and in a positive manner, help them to grow.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Thomas, what do you think the police can do better to make the community safer? And I want to stick with the same thing of young people. What role do you believe the police can have in public safety as it relates to young people?
First of all, being approachable. There seems to be a disconnect now. And again, that goes back to trust. You have to be able to come out into the community and let them know that you're a real live human being, just as they are. And that's the first thing, is to open up that, once again, uh, open up the communications and let them know that, hey, we're here to help, not to hurt. And that means they have to come out in the community and meet the kids where they are. At my church, First Baptist Church of Suitland, we had a program some years ago where we would transform our back parking lot into a basketball court, and we would invite the kids to come into that environment where they could play basketball right in the heart of Suitland, Maryland. And we would get to know them, they would get to know us. And at the end of that session of playing ball, we would get to really know them and what their concerns were. And all that did is build trust with them, with us, and us with them. And I say right now, for a police person, they must get out into the community and let the community meet them, and then the community will trust them, as well as the police will get to know the communities in which they police.
So on that point, and this is for both of you, and I'll let you answer the question first, Mr. Thomas. As you know, often issues with community relations between police and members of the community, it doesn't necessarily start with the young people. There is a faction, political or otherwise, of adults that, whether it's through personal experience or because of their own social politics, that they don't trust the police. And there are, and some of these things may be valid, and as I said, some of them may be political rhetoric, but things roll downhill, they trickle down, and if parents are not participating, then how can their children expect to participate in a better relationship between police officers?
Well, certainly, as you know, when we were growing up, I'm 63 years old, and I had a mother and father in the household. I was there. The kids now not necessarily have that environment. Some don't even have parents that they can talk to each and every day. So again, we have to realize the world that we live in now. And so far as the communities go, again, to get to know the police, they get to know us. We have to be real with them. We have to let our children know who's real and who's not. We tend to live in a fantasy world, and we have to turn that fantasy world switch off and let them know that this is the real world, and there are consequences. So far as curfews and that sort of thing, well, that's a result of people not acting the way they should be acting. And I, for one, know that parents are the first lead to how the children act. If the parents are missing, of course, they will find parents, and that would be through gangs or anything else. So once again, we must find a way to let the parents know that they have to lead the way for the children to follow as well.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Turman?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with Mr. Thomas. The way things are today, there are a lot of single parent households, and things are busy. These are busy times. You know, the single parent has to work to support the household, and sometimes the kids are raising themselves, and a lot of times social media is raising the kids, and they tend to get into things that they really shouldn't. But one of the things that we're trying to do with this National Night Out, we are trying to bring folks together. We actually target the parents to come out and mingle with the police, you know, fellowship with the police, learn that the police, they're not enemies, right? They can be your friends. You know, they have lives, they have families just like you do, and we're all in this together. So there's no need to be scared of the police, you know, embrace them. And once we get the parents to come out and feel that way, they tend to bring the kids out as well. And we do have programs tonight at our National Night Out, you know, for the kids and for the youth to come out as well. So the National Night Out, even though it's one night a year, parents come out and, you know, bring their families and they just enjoy. And it's an environment where it's like festival atmosphere, but with a crime prevention, crime awareness theme. And that way you mingle with your command staff at your district, police district, and you'd learn that they're real people just like you are. And the trust factor is start to build at that point.
Mr. Turman, when you step out of your home and you kind of look with your whole self, if I may, at issues in your community, what is your biggest concern?
I guess my biggest concern would be the crime that the youth are perpetrating.
So it's youth crime.
Yes, I think our youth, I'm not sure where that disconnect really is, but I have to say it starts in the home, with the parents and their kids. And our youth, they don't have to act out in the way that they do, but for some reason they do. And we have to figure out why they're doing that. Is it to impress other kids? Is it to be, a part of a group? All it takes is one bad apple and they can lead the whole group, in the wrong direction. But I think youth crime is my biggest concern today.
Same question for you, Mr. Thomas. When you kind of step out of your home and you look at your community, what are your biggest concerns about public safety?
Okay, we have a term in the football world, and I'm a volunteer coach over at Wise High School, and I was at Flowers High School for many years as well. We have a term called "keep your head on a swivel." When I walk out the door, I want to say that I live in a fairly nice neighborhood, but I would caution everyone in America now: what is a nice neighborhood? Things happen everywhere, and so I always have my wits about me to know that things can happen. They can happen quickly. But I also know that I don't live by fear. God hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And we can't be afraid to live out in our communities. So I look forward to good things happening throughout the day, but I know that bad things can happen, and just try not to lose your head about it if things do go the wrong way. And so,
well, I guess I'm asking about specifics. Is it youth crime? Is it drugs? Is it vandalism, burglary? What is it?
My biggest fear would be, crime-wise, would be a stray bullet. When I hear of gunshots and that sort of thing, and there's always saying a bullet doesn't have anybody's name on it. And also in the community, I detest tinted glass. There's one point where you can see inside of a car, but when you can't see anything, and I just think that's a dangerous thing, where we have glass so tinted where people can't see in them, and you don't know who's in there, who's pointing a weapon at you. And I guess the other thing would be people driving, running through red lights, and just lawlessness on the roads. I'm not saying that I drive the speed limit perfectly, but I've witnessed a fatality some years ago, and it's no joke out there. The roads are unsafe, and there are people driving now that don't have driver's license, or maybe they're driving stolen cars. And so that's one of the things that I'm concerned about, is just vehicle people driving in a wild way, and as they say, wilding.
It's interesting that you should mention those couple of things. Not so much the straight bullet, like you said, that can happen, but when you're talking about people speeding in the community, that has to do with what is commonly known as quality of life issues, and it goes along with littering, for example, noise, for example, and that may be less of a police thing, but more of a community thing, where Mr. Turman, if a parent, or if an adult, not even a parent, if an adult is littering in their neighborhood and does not care, you may have people who won't speak up about it, or maybe people who will follow suit and continue to litter, and therefore bringing down the neighborhood, which, as we know, could very well invite a criminal element. And so, I asked what you believe the police can do. From your perspective, Mr. Turman, what do you believe the community can do to make to help address its own issues?
Yeah, well, I think in the case of littering, that's a behavior. And those types of behaviors can be corrected. The people just have to adhere to the rules. Now, when people litter and someone doesn't say anything about it and they kind of accept those things, it's almost like that broken window theory. If you don't fix that broken window at first, pretty soon you'll have another broken window and then another broken window. So correcting that behavior at the root is key for those types of things, which is behavior, and that can be corrected. That's not necessarily a criminal thing like you had mentioned before, but that can lead to criminal activity. If someone comes into a neighborhood and they see that it's unkept or not kept up well, like versus some other community, they have more of a tendency to think that things are more accepted, more criminal things are accepted in that neighborhood than there would be in some other neighborhood, which is pretty well kept. So fix that broken window. If there is littering going on or other things where it can be corrected through behavioral changes, do that. And that can help to eliminate that criminal element from coming in.
Mr. Thomas, I've got about a minute or so. I'll let you have a final word about that issue, as well as what this National Night Out represents for your immediate community in Prince George's County.
Well, once again, thank you for having me on your show. Sorry for the technical problems. We just moved into a new building on my job.
That's fine. Stuff happens.
Yes, it does. You touched on a very important part of my heart, and that is littering and all. Nobody wants to live in the ghetto. At least I don't think we do. But I have a philosophy. If I live in a home and my neighbor's yard is dirty or trashy, go over and help your neighbor pick up the trash. Because if your neighbor's yard is dirty, guess what? Your yard is clean, but all it takes is for wind to blow trash into your community and to your yard. And so go over and teach your neighbor how to keep a yard clean. And before you know it, we're in a clean environment. And absolutely, we act the way our community looks. And we want to keep a clean community. So one person can make a difference. Just one match can start a forest fire. Be that forest fire, be that match to start a forest fire for justice and for keeping our communities clean. And we'll take care of our communities. The cleaner they are, the better they look. And the next thing you know, we're in a great community. So we're all tied together, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, in a single garment of destiny. And what affects one affects another, whether indirectly or directly. So we're all together in this thing. So let's make it the best we can, and let's keep pushing forward and look forward to good things. And our kids are doing great things. And congratulations to our police. Please, please, please support them, as they are doing great jobs. I know not all of them are good, but the majority are, and we need to keep them informed and allow them to do their jobs to help keep us safe. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that final word, Charles Thomas, also Delton Turman, for joining this really important conversation. I'm glad to have both of you on this program, and I would like to have you back. We also want to thank Chief George Nader with the Prince George's County Police Department. We hope to have him back soon as well. That is the Daily Drum for this Tuesday, August 5th. I'm Harold Fisher.